Hello and welcome to some Japanese culture on the edge, albeit American-made Japanese culture. Right, so let's get this knife open and speak a little bit about it. So what we have here is the Benchmade Saibu Axis Lock, a knife that's been out for a long time. I'm a little bit late to the party, but I think it's a good-looking knife and probably worthwhile still having a little video and speaking about it. Not a knife I would that I mind having hanging about on my channel. So this knife is a Saichi Nakamura design knife, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Saichi. I think I'm getting the Nakamura part correct. And he was an engineer, worked as an engineer for most of his life, and then retired to pursue his passion for custom knives. Nice when you can do that. And apparently focuses on small Japanese style folding knives and gentleman's carry or gentleman's folding knives. And hence this knife in front of us, you can see falls into that category. So what I'm going to do, I'll speak about materials and then dimensions, and then we'll speak a little bit about the design and attributes of this very, very good looking knife. So what we have here is a blade steel of CPM 20 CV, handle of G10 and Coca-Cola wood. You can see those pieces of wood inserted. The liner is a stainless steel. The screws are all Torx and stainless steel. The clip is stainless steel. The backspacer, a big backspacer, also stainless steel, and I'll speak a little bit more about that later. And then the pivot is a phosphor bronze washer, or is phosphor bronze washers. Right, let's speak about the dimensions of the knife. So we have blade length of 7.57 centimeters or 2.98 inches. Blade thickness of 2.89 centimeters or 0.11 inches. Handle thickness of 12.9 millimeters or 0.48 inches. Close length 9.7 centimeters or 3.82 inches. And then overall length is 17.25 centimeters or 6.79 inches. Right, let's check the weight of this knife. And actually, it has a little bit of a weight for him, if you consider the size of the knife, but a nice weight. It makes it feel a little bit solid. But let's have a look at that. Let's see what that weight actually is. Right, let's get this guy on. And he's on grams, so it is something that I will therefore understand. So 75 grams, that actually is quite a light knife. I think it just feels heavy when you see it in relation to the size of the knife. So 75 grams, and that is 2.6 ounces. And there we go. So probably the ideal size, should say weight and size, I guess, for that gentleman's EDC carry. Right, let's speak a little bit about the design of the knife and a little bit of a background and the approach to this design. So from reading on it, they say it reflects the heritage of its designer, so the Japanese heritage, and it is inspired by the temple shrines of Japan. So those little styling cues are apparently taken off some of the architectural styling cues or design cues of those temple shrines found in Japan. Let's try that again. The blade, drop point blade, very, very simple, clean style of blade. It's a deep grind, deep flat grind. That's what I wanted to say there. Quite nice, this just a little gentle arc, the gentle curve of that plunge line that also just adds to that clean look, running into a nicely sized sharpening choil at the bottom of the blade, the back of the blade. The little thumb tabs, also nice little bit of styling on there. They've got the Coca-Cola insert in the middle of those thumb tabs as well. Nice clean shape to that. No fussiness. Right, let's speak about the handle. So the handle itself as well, if you look at that overall shape, very, very clean and very, very simple. No embellishments around the outside, no ornate little curves or cutouts or anything like that. And I'm talking about the outline of that handle. All the detail and all the design happens on the face of the scale, and that's where you have these really beautiful, neatly done cutouts. And then I mentioned just now on the bigger ones you have that Coca-Cola inlay in the handle, but incredibly neatly designed and very, very neatly manufactured. The little space around those Coca-Cola inserts, beautifully even, very, very nicely manufactured. A little bit of chamfering around the edge and softening, just a little bit of rounding around that side that makes it comfortable in hand. So let's have a look. Oh boy, let's have a look at that in hand. So it is a small knife, therefore that gentleman's folder. You can see in my medium-sized hands, I just get 4 fingers on there. So bigger hands, your little finger is definitely going to dangle off the back end, and you can't really choke up or move forward on this knife. It's clearly meant to be held there. You can see the little bit of shaping on the scale, and that's where your finger naturally and comfortably falls. But you don't really need a bigger knife for those sort of little EDC tasks that you would perform with a gentleman's carry. This is not a heavy use knife for those hard tasks. Let's look a little bit at that Backspacer. That's also really beautifully done. So that Backspacer is based on, well, the design is based on bamboo, and you can see those lines running through. It does look like bamboo, but also beautifully finished off and a very beautiful design in keeping with the rest of the look of the knife. I think that is really nice, pulls that design nicely together. And then the scale at the back just curves back a little bit to expose a bit of that Backspacer, and that is then where your little lanyard hole sits in. So also nicely integrated into that overall shape of the knife. Pocket clip, deep carry. It is one of those loop around style, but the shape of it as well, I think, is really in keeping with the rest of the aesthetic of the knife. I think it suits it very well. You've got that oval shape cutout in that pocket clip that reflects those oval shapes as well. So that also very beautifully done. Mounted with the 2 torque screws on the side, as opposed to normally you'd get them vertically. Also just another little bit of interest on that, and then a little cutback so that you can have access to those, but mounted very high up on the knife. So if you turn it sideways, you can see that is really level with the top of the knife. So that in pocket, you picture that you're going to see the pocket clip, and that is all you're going to see when that knife is in your pocket. And it is reversible, so you can see the holes on that side. So we have deep carry, tip up, reversible pocket clip. A little bit of shaping around the top side of that pocket clip as well. Just another little bit of detail. Another bit of detail I also saw is, just cannot do it right the first time. Getting frustrated with myself. But another bit of detail you see on the inside there, so that Backspacer that has that bamboo shaping to it, the same is done on the inside, and that's always so pleasing to see when that level of detail and that care is even carried through to the inside of the knife. So again, just a nicely well integrated, well considered, the attention to detail in this knife, that extra bit of care is just really nice. The liners on either side is a bit of material removed from there, which will contribute to making the knife lighter, but that is actually just the continuation of the total design of the knife, more than an attempt to lighten the liner on the inside there. That would just be an extra benefit of that. I think I've spoken through pretty much all the design of the knife, but beautifully designed, nicely finished off, stunning little knife. I really do like this. Now, I mentioned the fact that I'm late to the party, and this knife has actually been discontinued some time ago. And in fact, if you go look online, it is sold out in most places. But I grabbed this from Blades and Triggers, and again, let me just stop here and just thank them. Blades and Triggers, I really do appreciate their support. Blades and Triggers in South Africa. And if this is a design of knife, or the knife that you really do want and are still after, you can still get this at Blades and Triggers. So check out their website, BNT Online, and they have this and obviously many other designs of knives, but they also have a number of other Benchmade knives as well, if Benchmade particularly interests you. But you know, as I say, I know I'm late to the party, and it is discontinued, but the knife is still available, and it is a beautiful knife, and I do want the knife on the channel. So there it is. Worth mentioning as well, it is the Benchmade Axis lock, and I'm reluctantly going to try this, but you know, these Axis locks, they are supreme fidget toys if you get the timing right. So you know, you can do the little flick out, and if you get the timing right, it'll stay out, and you know, you can do that all day long. Once you are a little more skilled at it, but you get the gist of it. So you can open the knife like that using those using that Axis lock. You know, for those that haven't been exposed to it, you just pull back on those two tabs, and then you can flick the knife out, and then you pull back on those two tabs again, and you flick the knife back in. Oh, look at that! If you do it slowly, it actually works. And then you've got the thumb tab, so you can, you know, flick him out with the thumb, or you can sort of more discreetly just roll the knife out in the true gentleman's fashion. So, but yeah, there it is. I really do like the design of the knife, really clean. And the knife I should have here to actually put against it for size comparison, but also from a styling perspective, and also a gentleman's carry that I really did like, is the Wee Pier. An Ostap Hell design. So if you haven't seen that review, please go check it out, because that is also just one of those beautifully, absolutely lesson in clean design on that knife, and also beautifully finished Wee product. But nice little design cues on that. So go check that out. Go check that video out, the Wee Pier. So what I've got here for size comparisons is I've got one of the knives that I usually use, and another Benchmade also Axis lock knife, and this is the Benchmade Mini Barrage. You can get a sense of the size. It just suddenly, that design looks a little bit clunky, doesn't it? I mean, compared to this really clean and sort of typical Japanese style design. Right, let's get that out the way. And then the other one that I don't think I'm going to say it anymore, the knife that I keep saying I'm going to review and I don't, and I keep not reviewing it, the Kaiser, and that's the Apis. But another gentleman's carry, sort of more modern style, a knife that I really like. But even there, when you lay those two together, I mean, doesn't this just, it stands out as really good design when you start putting it next to some other knives. And I do like that design, but this is just, it's standout. It really is a beautifully considered and designed knife. Right, let's get that out the way. And then I brought I've got another Benchmade here that is a very different knife, but also a Axis lock. And this is the old Bone Collector. Similarly sized, although, you know, I don't think that qualifies as a gentleman's carry, a different purpose for that knife. D2 blade steel on there, by the way. But just from a size perspective, and the fact that it's another Benchmade. Right, let's get that out the way. And then I've got another one that is called a gentleman's folder, and this is a Bokeh product, and this is the Bokeh Surge, and it is a Surge Panchenko. You can actually see his logo on the frame there, the SP. And they call this a bronze finish, but that is definitely not bronze. But never mind, we won't get into that. Frame lock knife. And if I concentrate really hard, I can. There we go, Spidey flick him. Let's put that down there. So you can see the handles perhaps similar shapes, but the blade's very different. It's a much broader blade on the Bokeh. Get them that side, but you know, those knives possibly more similar intended use, and certainly more similar in shape and size, perhaps. Right, there it is. Let's get that out the way. And I think I've now gone through everything that I wanted to on this knife. You can clearly hear that it's another knife that I do like. I really do think it's a beautiful design. I really do appreciate you know, you can just see an artist at work when they just, the right amount of design touches. And I'm going to mention the Wee Pier again. It's one of those knives as well where it just has the right level of design touch on the knife. So guys, it's been discontinued for a long time, and it is sold out in most places. But and say again, if you are after it, go to Blades and Triggers, BNT online. You can still find it there. And I think that is pretty much all I have for you, short of saying thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I would, of course, really appreciate it if you would subscribe and hit that bell icon. I would love you to join me more often. And other than that, go well and God bless.